This chair is quite comfortable, by the way.
Oh,
it's good for like an 8 a.m. interview, right?
You know, I feel like a little kid because my feet don't touch the ground.
I know.
I'm sitting
Do your
here.
feet touch the ground on that one?
Not usually.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Because it sits back with
It does.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing at all.
No.
Just have to get comfy.
No. It's not helping me wake up, though, I'll tell you.
Maybe you need the second coffee. I don't know. To me every time. I just show up.
Just kind of wing it, right?
But her questions are always really good, so it works.
Active listening, man. Active listening is helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty much my job in a nutshell is listening.
Yeah. I guess so.
Listening to people, so I get it.
Answering their questions with houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Jason Reynolds on the show today. He's a good friend from the gym. And
old time friend.
I know, we haven't seen each other in a while though.
Yeah, I know. It's busy, different schedules and everything makes it really challenging to run into people. You know, I'm usually at the gym at times where there's one or two people, maybe. Sometimes
it's my preferred time too.
it is quite nice. You get that feeling of having the space to yourself,
my private gym.
Which is, I don't know. At this point in time, I enjoy it because that's sort of the time that I'm looking for.
That's your
some
quiet
quiet
time,
and
right?
solitude, because I know that whoever I run into, whether it was back working at the gym, Kelsey and I, essentially what got this podcast started was
we would just talk for like 2 hours.
Conversations.
And we're like, maybe
it's
I don't know. Like people might want to hear this.
That's awesome.
Go do work.
And if
or
they
something.
don't, we feel purpose in talking at least.
At least throw it out there and see what everyone says. Yeah.
Why not?
You're doing it now, so 48 episodes.
48 deep.
48.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So it's people are responding to it, so it's good.
Good. Good for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited to be here. So.
Yeah, welcome.
First podcast experience, is it?
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been the interviewer a few times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've never been the interviewee. So
do you have a podcast?
No.
Oh.
We had a bit of a project going on where we were interviewing some restaurant owners in Peterborough, I mentioned to you, and it's one of
That's
those.
your food thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
off topic.
Yeah, we're not really getting into that too much because it's it's a bit of a labor of love that we love more than we have a lot of time to do, and
that's okay.
We want to do it, but we're not sure it's going to be something that we can continue. So
for sure.
I'm not going to say yes or no for sure, but
I get that.
So we've got a bit of experience on camera, so
cool.
It's not out of the ordinary.
Yeah, plus you do a really good job anyway. So just backstory as well is you've got what's now called Team Reynolds as like a real estate broker. Is that what you call it? Or agent? Or
the two of us are representatives. We're salespeople technically, but we work as a team. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I.
Yes.
Yeah. So we both have our separate licenses, but since we're married and we're working towards the same goals, we thought, why not team up and
together.
Two heads are better than one, right? So
that's very fun. But you got it started.
Yeah. Yeah. So going on 2 years now.
Yeah.
Are you independent
crazy.
or are you under?
No, we work for Ball Real Estate.
Ball, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, there's a kind of a structure thing. People always ask, do you have your own brokerage? Is it this? Yeah, no. We work under like an umbrella from a different brokerage, but we are kind of independent contractors in our own,
It's kind of my story. It's like, I work for myself sort of, like under someone else's roof.
Right. Sorry. I have a bit of a thing in my throat. I'm not sick at all.
No worries.
I did this Tabata workout yesterday.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That makes me cough like crazy too.
All day I'm like,
I have the most gravelly voice after. I'm like, I did cardio.
Like it's like this part of my lungs hasn't been used in 3 years. So I'm like, what is happening? And I've been coughing and stuff. No. Apparently I need to do it more.
What did you do?
Yeah.
It was the assault bike.
Oh, that'll do it.
Oh yeah, I did it. Yeah, it did it. My wife and I went to the gym yesterday. We go together at the same time. And usually we work out together, but yesterday it was like, let's do our own thing. So she's like, I'll go on the stepper, and I said, I'm going to do my thing. Yes, it was my fault. It was my fault.
Okay.
And about 10 minutes in, because Tabata's not very long.
That's a long time.
Well, no, I didn't do it the whole time.
Okay.
Half of that was me laying on the ground.
Okay. Got it.
Contemplating my life decisions. And then I texted her. I said, I'm going to be in the car. I don't feel well. You do your thing.
Oh, no.
That's what happened.
Awesome. That's enough, though, because it's traditionally 4 minutes, right?
4 minutes. And that's what I did.
8 rounds.
8 rounds.
8 rounds of 20 seconds with 10 seconds rest.
20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest.
Yep.
And you do that 8 times, which is 4 minutes.
Which is 4 minutes.
And
so, that's all I did was 1 round of 4 minutes.
Honestly, that's all you need. They've studied it, but it does the same effect as a half an hour slow jog.
Mm-hmm.
So pick your death.
Right.
It's slow death or just hot and heavy.
Just get rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
but
just
instead
rip
of
it
a
off.
Band-Aid, it's more like super glue.
Yeah, maybe even more than that. Maybe it's just your layer of skin. Just rip your own skin off. That's,
that was that.
Yeah,
nice.
It's one of the, I know all kinds of HIIT workouts are very popular these days, but the Tabata protocol is absolutely.
Yeah.
You tell people, I used to do it at the gym all the time when I was training people, just 4 minutes to finish. That's all. It's nothing too crazy.
Yeah. And it does sound very easy. It's eight rounds of 20 seconds, no problem.
No.
Even if you're doing something very simple, bodyweight squats or push-ups, it's hard.
It'll get you.
It is, because you really have to go all out, right?
Yeah.
To make it really effective.
Or I was going to say you should if you want it to be effective, right? Yeah.
And then by halfway through, seconds. All out is it feels like you're hardly moving because you can barely do it. Yeah. It's okay.
I find I always just say to clients, round 6 is the hardest because that's when you're I don't want to do this anymore.
No,
but you still have 2 more rounds. And you're
Josh Chessman introduced me to that.
I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not surprised.
And that's probably why I haven't done it in about a year.
Josh Chessman has probably introduced everyone in Peterborough to Tabata.
Yeah, okay. But I think I'm going to do it more because it was a good challenge and I feel a little humbled by it. So I'm going to take it on maybe once a week or something and just see what can happen from that.
That's good. You can also, another good way to do it that's sometimes harder, sometimes feels mentally easier, is you alternate the exercise each round.
I was going to say not use the assault bike.
That's true. There's that part.
So you do, for example, walking lunges for the first round, and then you do bodyweight squats for the second round, or squat jumps or something a little bit different.
You have to make it easy to transition between, or you just run out of time in those 10 seconds. But
or the full 10 seconds are done doing work to get to a machine, or something, which is not very pleasant either.
No.
But that's something. I think Josh and I actually did a similar workout a long time ago called the Swole System.
Oh, jeez.
And that's where, that's the first time I remember, no, maybe not the first time, but an organized program that I did that actually included Tabatas in.
Oh, someone named their whole program the Swole System.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Good for them.
Who started that?
Chandler Marchman is actually one of the people that most inspired me to get into strongman. He was one of the OG fitness YouTubers that he's got a lot of he does have 40K subscribers or something now. His videos don't get a lot of views though. It's really interesting that he's got such a large audience but a small number of views per video.
Oh, I wonder why.
But he's been consistent for a dozen years or so, and it's interesting to see how things grow like that.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
He did disappear for a little while, so consistency wasn't throughout the last decade or 12 years. So that's interesting.
Okay.
Was he the CrossFit guy who got kicked off?
No, he.
Okay, there was someone who was using the word CrossFit in their videos and got banned from YouTube.
Oh, that was Clint Darden.
Oh, okay.
Did I tell you about that?
Did,
yes,
yeah. That's why I was wondering if it was the same guy.
Yeah, he
was he not involved in CrossFit, but he kept saying CrossFit.
So
like
he recorded video of a CrossFit competition over in Cyprus. I think because that's where he lives, over in Cyprus.
Yeah, and
put CrossFit in the title of the video, and they went and banned his page because of that.
CrossFit wants their piece.
All right, they own that. You do that to Animal Flow, they'll get you too.
Yeah.
And
he had an awesome YouTube page. I loved watching his videos.
Oh, no.
And then he was not allowed to do anything anymore. And so he went over to Vimeo for a while and obviously lost all of his followers and stuff, and then came back later because he finally got it was 1 or 2 years off of YouTube. Oh. I don't know what this has to do with our conversation.
Sorry,
actually, you know,
I started it and I
coughed and then
I gotta cough again.
Although I think it does tie in some ways, because something that stands out to me about your drive to kind of do your own thing. Maybe we'll get into the backstory of how you got there, but fitness is really a key to your balance with being an agent of sorts for your own business, kind of running, controlling your own destiny. Fitness is really something that stands out to me as something that you prioritize in just being more productive and healthy and well Absolutely. And balanced.
Yeah, well, I think they all kind of tie into each other, right? I mean,
talk about that.
Well,
I like hearing people's opinions on this.
I think it's like you have a puzzle, right? You can't finish your puzzle without all the pieces, obviously. So if you're going to be disciplined or you're going to be driven in one area of your life, they should kind of flow over, right, into other areas of your life too. So I feel like if I can be disciplined enough in my own life to make sure that I'm, you know, trying to keep myself fit and you know, be conscious about my nutrition, then that should help me in the business side of my life and the family side of my life, you know. Yeah. So, you know, as a kid, I was never fit. I was actually quite overweight, and I was a bigger kid. I didn't get into sports or anything like that, which I really wish I had, because I think sports at an early age are super important, and you know, just for social skills and just for developing yourself.
Yeah.
So I never had that. So I think as I got older and realized the importance of it, it really became a big part of my life, and I really focus on a lot of, as much as I can in that area, right?
Yeah.
How did that start for you? Like, if you weren't into it and then you were, what's the tipping point?
I think it started like late in high school. My family as a whole decided just to get healthier.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So it started with my mom and my stepdad. And that's where it kind of blossomed, because I started to realize, hey, I can kind of control this, right?
Yeah.
I'm in college, you know, and, you know, being an overweight kid in school is hard, right? So you realize, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. That's tough. And then it blossoms from there, and it goes from more than just wanting to be better to like wanting to live longer and wanting to just challenge yourself too.
Yep.
Which I really enjoy.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tabata cough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get it too.
Coin that.
That should be the
you
title
heard it
of
here
the
first. Yeah.
It's true. So what did you study in college?
I actually went to school for international business.
Oh yeah.
Went to school for international business. Loved the course. Loved my teachers. Met some really good friends. Got out of school and realized that I would have to live in Toronto for the rest of my life if I wanted to work in that field. So I decided I didn't want to do that. Because I moved to the GTA, and then I actually worked in Brampton for about a year, and it was not for me. You know, it's
quite you have to just live your job. Like, that is your life.
Pretty much. I mean, you're commuting for an hour and a half, and then you work for 8 hours in a desk job where you're staring at a computer, and then you commute for an hour and a half, and then that's it. Rinse and repeat every day, right?
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah. And then, you know, my family, they're self-employed people too, right? So I think it was kind of always in my genes to be self-employed, so to speak. And yeah, to this day, I don't think I could go back to working for somebody.
Sure. How did that transition look? So you, after college, and you're from Peterborough originally?
Yeah, originally from Peterborough.
Yeah.
So went to college, tried the business thing, the whole corporate world. My family actually owns a flooring store in Peterborough, company.
Oh, okay.
So after college and realizing I didn't want to do that, I decided to come back and work in the flooring business for a little while. And I actually got into the installation side of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And realized I was fairly good at working with my hands. I always liked creating stuff and building things. So I started doing the flooring installation thing, and it just kind of took off. Like, it was small at first. It was just me. And I did that for a couple of years. And then, you know, as the demand kind of grew for my service, so to speak, I decided, well, hey, maybe I can make this a bit bigger. So I started hiring people, and yeah, I ended up growing it to be a fairly substantial business. But real estate kind of came into play when I met my wife. Her father is a real estate agent, and I remember talking to him a bunch about real estate, and I always kind of enjoyed the whole concept, and I in the back of my mind, it was something I wanted to do for a long time. So the flooring installation thing was just a stepping stone to get there. I think it was kind of a means to the next step. Yeah. So I did that for 10 years. Wow. It was supposed to be 5 years, and it ended up being 10. Wow. It's easy to get complacent and comfortable, and I enjoyed it while it lasted, but it was never a long-term thing. Yeah.
So then it kind of shifted gears, and you work towards getting your license, and off we go with that story. And so you said for the past 2 years, right?
Basically 2 years.
About 2 years now.
Yeah, it'll be 2 full years soon.
I think pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much the time that I've known you, actually.
Yeah, we know different Jason there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of. I was going through the transition when I was training with Josh. Yeah. And I remember talking to him about it, and Josh, he's very good at remembering details. Like if you tell him something, he's gonna bring it up to you again, which is awesome. One of the things I love about Josh is because he really listens. Yeah, and that's amazing. It's an amazing attribute to have. Mm-hmm. So that's when it was happening, and I was training with Josh. Just about 2 years ago now. So. Yeah, and that's the only Jason you know.
That's the one.
That's the one.
No flooring Jason.
No flooring Jason. Yeah, that was It's funny because I was so excited to get out of flooring and get into real estate, and I don't regret my decision at all. I love what I do now, and I was thinking because flooring is really hard on your body. Yeah, and I was so excited to get out of that because of what it was doing to my body, my knees and my hips, and constantly bent over, and you're in just terrible positions that are not good for you, like anatomically, and none of those pains went away. It's like I think the damage was done, right? And then you find a new beast, right? Sitting down more and pushing more paper, and so it comes back to the balance and just trying to. It's just you're fighting a new war this time, right?
Yeah, it's true, and I mean even also 10 years of that, it's going to take time, maybe even almost the equivalent amount of time, unless you're really diligent to get back to not feeling those sorts of aches and pains. But
it's a lot of work.
But it sounds like you've got everything in place to kind of make that happen too, or you're sort of working towards it. And so I'm curious about the real estate thing, because at FlowSpa we've got a lot of real estate agents coming in as customers, and so is it a stressful job?
It can be. Yeah, absolutely.
And I find it interesting. I know because I see like all the stories that you do on Instagram and videos, and your passion for it is legit. You clearly love what you do, and you say that a lot, and it's true. Yeah. It's clear. So I'm sure that helps with it, but what do you see in the industry as far as, because I think a lot of people are coming in here because of the stress around it.
Yeah. Well, as real estate agents, we take on a lot. Yeah. It's a stressful time for people when you're buying and selling a house, right?
It's one of the most stressful, if I'm not.
Sure, yeah. It's like
death, taxes, and moving are sort of the three big things. I know they say that in the moving industry, so I think it's probably related,
I was going to say, is I don't know, if marriage not part of that anymore? That's something that people said?
I don't know, is that?
I don't know, I'm not one of those jokesters, I just thought I heard that.
It could be.
In that trio.
Well, it ties in too, right? Because, you're all the stresses of life and trying to balance a marriage, right? That could be part of it. But
true.
We take on a lot because it's stressful for people, and we have to try to de-stress the situation, right? And try to keep them calm. Because it's legit stress. It's not like they're making things up. Sure. But we have to not downplay it, but really make sure that they understand that there's a whole process involved, and it's our job to help. So we take on a lot of what they're feeling, and we try to take it away from them because we want their experience to be enjoyable too, right? Mm-hmm. So there's days when you walk home with a loaded baggage where you're like, oh man, like what do I do with this? So I can see why coming in here to float or something would be a useful tool. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, so your job's more in the people business, really, than in the house business.
100%. Yeah, people ask me like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, well, bit of a psychologist. You know, I'm a friend to a lot of people because sometimes that's what people need is just a friend. Because, you know, they get their eye on a house and they want to buy it, but it's a competitive real estate market. And I've seen so many people lose out on houses and they get really upset about it. And understandably so. But, you know, talking them down and making them realize that, hey, it's just a house. You know, the house becomes a home when you make it a home, and you're going to find a house to make a home somewhere else, right? Everything happens for a reason. So really taking people, and I'll do that. I've done breathing exercises with people before because it really works. Like just, you got to calm yourself and it really helps.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Is that what, like, what's your heart in this? Because you say you love what you do. Like, what is it? Like, is it just the act of selling houses? Is it the people? Is it like, what do you love about what you do?
It's totally the people. It's not the act of selling houses. I mean, if I could do what I do without the house selling part, I think I would still do it. I just don't know what that would be. But like the selling, it's the maybe
it kind of sounds a little bit
a little bit. But there's so much gratification that comes from like when people actually buy their first house or something like that.
Sort of
that must be cool to be part of.
They're so excited. Right?
Finding their place.
Absolutely.
Or like you said, making a house into a home.
Yeah. And then, you know, at the end of the day, when they come and say, thank you for making it so stress-free and like making it an easy process for them, because I think a lot of people have bad experiences and it happens in every industry or like that. And then, you know, word travels and bad news travels faster than good news usually, as I'm sure you've heard. So when people come into a real estate transaction and they're expecting it to be hard and it turns out to be pretty simple and easy, that's what feels good.
Cool.
That's good.
That feels really good. Yeah.
So now it's evolved from just being you into Julianne, right?
Yep.
Julianne joining you as the team. Yep. How's that sort of complemented the service that you can offer as like the solo guy?
Yeah.
Or what sort of things have kind of evolved from that?
It's been awesome, first of all. Yeah, it's been really good because, you know, there's so many different personality types and I can't be that guy for everybody, right? Sure. It's just impossible. Some people are going to jive better with other people.
Absolutely.
So Julianne and I have very different personalities and we have different approaches. So that's been awesome because maybe I can't work super well with them, but Julianne and him and her, I can tell are going to click really well. So that's great. Another way.
Work separately? Usually?
Yeah, technically we work together as a team, but we do have separate clients.
Gotcha.
But then there's times when we team up on things too, right? Because I've been in the business a little longer, so I've got a little bit more knowledge and stuff. So she'll bring me in if she needs, you know, some advice or something like that. And then on the other end of it, like the admin side of things, I absolutely hate that stuff. Like, I mean, just like, burn me with lit cigarettes. Like, I just cannot stand it. Like, so she's really good at that kind of stuff and better. And I'm more like, I know. It's so true though. Like, I like the creative side of things, like creating the posts on social media and coming up with new ideas and things like that. She's very good at like regimented stuff. So yeah, right there. It's just half of the piece of the pie that I wasn't really great at before. She kind of takes over.
That was good.
That's great. How does and so how did you actually come to realize that sort of strength weakness thing in before Julianne joined the sort of the team up? What did you do for those like weaknesses, or was it kind of how did you come to realize that that's the balance that you had in yourself?
I think when you look at the jobs that didn't get done to the last minute, those are the ones that I wasn't very good at, right?
Cool.
The stuff that I enjoyed doing always got done first.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it was like when it comes down to a deadline and I need to get it done and I'm up like at 10 or 11 o'clock at night the night before.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the jobs I don't like doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And have you noticed, like, so since she's joined you for how long?
September she joined.
Okay, so like
4 or 5 months.
Yeah. Have you noticed, like, what's the trend in your business that way? Do you is it you feel more supported? Are you guys like selling faster?
Yeah, I think it just feels more whole. Like, honestly, she's always been there. Like, so Julianne took 3.5 years off with our daughter from work, right? And which was amazing that we were able to do that. And I feel very fortunate. So this was her transition back to the workplace.
Nice.
Right. So before that, I always had her at home, though, helping me with some of the back end stuff with my business, whether it was the flooring business or this business. But now it's more official, right? And she's actually able to, and I think she feels better about it. And like the fact that she's able to contribute. Mm-hmm. There was never it was never that I was going to work and making money and she was at home with Avery. It was never like that. Like we never ever felt that way. It's not like I made the money, right? Never ever. But now I think she just feels really great about being able to technically contribute on that end of things. And I think that's helped her and her self-confidence and it's given her a boost too. So that alone has just, I think, made us healthier too as a couple, right?
Yeah, because now you're growing two teams in the same people, right? It's like marriage team and work
and it's
team.
really nice to be able to bounce ideas off each other. Like people ask if it's really hard to work together, and I'm sure there's days when it can be tough, but at the end of the day, I think it's just made us better. Like really, for sure, because we're on the same playing field and we understand the challenges now that we each face. Whereas before, and I might come home from work and she would ask me how my day was, and I would say, "Oh, this was hard, and this was good, and this was hard," and but now she's like, "Oh yeah, I totally know what he means because I'm there too."
You get each other a bit more. That's cool.
It's really cool.
Are you guys able to turn that off, or do you find you're working all the time?
We definitely work a lot of it's just a weird schedule. I mean, when people I work a lot. We work in the evenings a lot and stuff like that, but we're able to do things that some people can't. We can take a couple hours in the day if we want, go for lunch together, or our daughter gets picked up from school by one of us every day at 2:30.
That's nice.
A lot of people can't do that. Yeah. So turning it off, it doesn't really stop. I'll be honest, it's always kind of there. It's a bit of a responsive
especially because you guys are new too, right? You're excited about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, a vacation, we'll go on a vacation and we'll try to turn it off as much as possible, right? Mm-hmm. But on the day-to-day, it's pretty much, you kind of have to work when someone calls you.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it sounds like you have balance already. You guys are going to the gym together and you said you're going to, you're not working 100% of the time.
No. And recently, so I hired a business coach, which has been phenomenal. Been really good because they have so many tips and tricks and just ways to make yourself more efficient and find balance and stuff like that. And one of his pieces of advice was to turn off your email notifications on your phone. Turn off any non-essential notifications. So leave your ringer on, leave your text messages on. Those are usually the two urgent types of communication, for emergencies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yep. But email notifications, social media notifications, all that, just turn it off and then check it when you're available, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that has been amazing.
Yeah, that'll make your brain settle down a little bit.
Oh, it does. It does. At first, all I was doing was checking it myself more. Yeah. But as it goes, it's only been a few weeks now that I've done it, and as it goes and goes and goes, you forget about it more and more and more, and that's so liberating.
That is good, because then you're not a slave to your little box in your hand. Yeah. Absolutely.
So little things like that I'm just picking up as I go, I think are going to be really helpful.
Awesome.
It's an interesting subject. I was actually just going to ask about, because even the relationship with you and Julianne kind of sounds almost like a mentorship approach, but I was curious about the business coach or somebody kind of a more official mentor. Yeah. And so talk to me, how did you feel was there a calling that was the time was right to enlist some, wiser support, or how did that look? Or was it somebody you heard about that you thought could also benefit you?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, I'm always reading, I love reading. So I don't know, maybe a bit of a nerd when it comes to trying to just take stuff in, right? I just love taking stuff in. So especially with the real estate business, when I started, I wanted to learn as much as I could, figure out all the ways to get better and get better fast and do this and do that. So I went to a conference in Toronto. Richard Robbins is his name. He's a big speaker in the real estate business. Okay. Probably the best speaker I've ever seen in my life. The guy, it's just amazing what he does. He talks and he doesn't fumble over his words, and he just has so many stories from his own personal life, right, involved in this talk. And he offers a coaching service. This is obviously, you're there to listen, but also to possibly buy. Yeah. And so after seeing
real estate in its own.
Yeah. So after seeing him speak twice, I actually ended up going to a paid conference. Yep. And because I really enjoy what he said, so at the paid conference, they had real estate professionals from all over the country speak. and like some of their own stories and present ideas that could help you. And every single one of them were members of this coaching program. And every single one of them talked about how beneficial the program was to them, right? And they weren't being paid to say this. This was like true stories. And they showed like their progress in the business and how it increased after they started coaching. And even the most professional people in the world need a coach, right? Like, you know, as you know, like people that are in bodybuilding, right? You might know everything, but at the end of the day, you still need a coach, right?
Need a second opinion.
100%. And that's when it clicked. I'm like, you know what? Like, I think if I need to take this to the next level and I want to grow, I need to hire a coach. And that was where it was. And I signed up that day. It was a big commitment. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
So what is it like a time commitment, or what is your commitment there?
So basically we have an hour long call every 2 weeks. And it usually turns out to be more than an hour. And you know, they provide you with ideas, steps that you can take throughout the week just to, again, like that turning off your notifications thing. That was just a small piece, but like actual, and they provide you with so many resources like for creating like a system for your business, because I think it's important if you're not just trying to wing it all the time, you actually have some kind of checklists in place.
It's nice to have some grounding there.
Because a lot of those little details slip through the cracks, right? So I think it was just about building a foundation. You know, I was a year in when I started this coaching program, and it was like, wow, okay, I was wasting so much time doing so many things that I probably could have done a lot more efficiently if I had a system in place. So, and so that's been just fantastic.
It's very cool. I think we've talked a little bit about the sort of that coaching aspect lately, and been curious about things surrounding that topic. So that's why I kind of want to dive into it. And a lot of those tips, the experience is invaluable, really. So it's cool to hear it. So your coach isn't the Richard Robbins guy, right? It's somebody that is part of his
people, and then
part of his team.
Yeah, he's the one that started the business, the corporation, and then he's built it into, I mean, I don't know how many coaches he has now, but they're all over the country, right? Like massive amounts. And the gentleman that coaches me, he's a real estate agent, right? And he lives in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And he owns like a house flipping business. And, you know, he worked for big corporate companies. He's got so much experience in so many different avenues. So he's got a lot to bring to the table. And efficiency is one of his, I don't know, like big topics that he touches on a lot. So that's been really helpful.
I think that's something, I mean, even I can relate to a lot. As you can tell, this production's become quite, I don't know, excessive in some, quite the production.
There's a lot going on.
But,
well, you've probably taken little bits and learned as you went, right?
We're still on that.
We've been reflecting on that over the course of time. But the checklist thing is huge for me. I've kind of integrated it mentally at this point, but I did actually make a checklist because, you know, I think I forgot the microphone on the camera, which is sort of the backup mic in case something happens with the main system. What else? You know, there's all kinds of things that
you use so much brain power trying to remember all these things. Why not just make a checklist? And then you've got a piece of paper that remembers it for you.
It's
absolutely
great. Right? Exactly.
And I always used to think that it was a waste of time, right? Making these lists is a waste of time, and it was more work. But no. You once you get that system in place, you use it every time. It's just saves so much brain power.
So what does your, we've talked about, it sounds like you're building a really good balanced system. What are the routines in your day that really are mainstays to make you, or that are working towards more efficiency and everything?
Routines in real estate. I don't even know if those go together. Every day is
Maybe
so
rituals.
different.
What are your rituals?
The mornings are always the same.
Gym's part of your routine, right?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And so I used to, before real estate, I used to wake up, go to the gym, go to work. Wake up, go to the gym, go to work. Now I have Avery, right? Wake up, Avery wakes up. Avery and Daddy have breakfast. Nice. And usually I have about a half an hour in between there where it's just me and I read. So I'm always reading in the morning. And then another thing that I started in the last month or so is writing down 3 things that I'm thankful for every single day. And that has been such a positive thing. And it's because I haven't done it yet today, and I forgot about it this morning. Because,
you want to do it right now?
No. And again, this is something I learned from my coaching program.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He said, try to write down 3 things that you're thankful for every day, and do it for 30 days without repeating any of those things.
That.
He said, by the end of the month, you're going to be sitting there and you're going to go, I'm thankful for my cup, or like, I'm thankful for my hairbrush or something, right? Because you're running out of things. But he said it really makes you dig deep and find like things that you're really, truly thankful for, like things you might not think about and you take for granted, right? So I started doing that every day, and that's been an awesome part of my morning. And then like just the time I get to spend with Avery every morning is awesome too. Yeah, it is for sure. And then taking her to school, and then after she goes to school, it's usually to the gym. Tuesdays we have a sales meeting, which I wish we didn't, because I love routine, right? I love just having the 5 days a week where I have at least those 2 hours in the morning. Yep. But that's okay, because that's part of building too. So we make it work. So the morning is really my foundation. And I'm trying to make that as purposeful as possible, instead of just waking up and chugging a couple of gallons of coffee and then just dragging myself off to work, right? Which is what it felt like before, because at the end of my flooring career, I was really starting to dislike it.
Sure.
And it was like, you're just dragging yourself to work.
It doesn't help, eh? Yeah.
No. Now I actually kind of enjoy waking up, and I enjoy what I get to do in the morning, and I enjoy going to work. So.
Isn't it amazing? You almost just don't feel like you're working.
True, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which stresses me out. I've got this weird loop. I'm just like, I'm not working at all. And then I'm like, wait, I'm working a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just not stressed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing feeling.
It's great. It's empowering.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the coaching before that just slips away too far. I'm just wondering, like, is that something that you would see yourself doing for people down the line? Just based on what I've heard from you?
Yeah.
Or have you thought about it?
Many years to go before, like, I mean, I'm definitely not there yet, but I do enjoy that. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not sure in what capacity. I guess I could do it. I just, right now, I ask my coach, like, how do you have time for this? Like, you're running all these companies, and like, and you're still coaching like 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm like, how? And he said, he's like, systems. He's like, it's about systems. And he's like, all these little things that I'm telling you now, he's like, I've been working on for many, many years. And
well, then it speaks for it, I guess.
Yeah, it really does. So maybe one day, maybe one day. Because I do really enjoy passing on things that I learned. So
sort of the evolution of it. Yeah, for sure. I've got a question, because I think, at least for me, the kind of the glamorized perspective of real estate is on HGTV with the house flipping and ice,
so easy.
Vanilla ice in Miami or whatever it is.
There's lots of them.
Is that something that is sort of scorned or laughed upon by the industry, or is there any? Or there's that Sell It Like Sirhan or whatever.
Oh, yeah. There's so many of them. I honestly don't watch any of them.
Is it I was wondering, is it something that you ever tune into? It's kind of the same thing with I don't know. Is it a parody of the industry or whatever?
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's hard to say. I think in different markets you might see a little bit of that is reality. Sure. Like,
the house flipping is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I think they do glamorize it a little bit. Here in Peterborough, I don't think we have a lot of that, but maybe once you get towards like the bigger markets like Toronto and stuff, a lot of higher end sales and stuff like that. And maybe there's a bit more of like a Hollywood effect to being a real estate agent and stuff, but not so much around here. It's a little bit more of an easygoing market.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I first started, I was like suited up every day, right? Trying to like be my best, look my best. Not someone who I was. Like, I didn't feel comfortable in that. Honestly, nowadays, most of the days I wear jeans to work. And, this is not work attire. This is gym attire. But I'll put on a pair of jeans and like a nice shirt or something like that and casual business it up, right? And I don't feel like I have to bring myself up to that I don't know if it's a stereotype maybe, but
yeah, that's something we talked about with Grace Reynolds. Yeah, she was saying, do you know Grace Reynolds?
I do know Grace. Yeah, we're not related.
No, I was gonna ask, but I figured
our kids are in the same class. It's funny. I just met her like a month ago, and I saw her on Flow, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's incredible, and she's just like, I'm not into like heels and power suits. I like track pants, and I like being at home, and I think that's really refreshing for a lot of people to hear because it's. You think you have to do that. You think, you need your briefcase, be it empty or not.
Like that's right.
But...
And I think it works for some people.
I think some people really like it.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it's just not for me, right? I mean, I used to go to work in Carhartts and work boots. And actually, I still wear my work boots because they're the most comfortable things I own, right? And my wife makes fun of me all the time. She's like, you're still wearing those work boots that you like installed floors with? And I'm like, yep, they're still comfy and this is kind of who I am, right?
Yeah.
So, there's days when I might dress it up a little bit. And then there's most of the time, though, I don't think people really respond. They don't really care. Like they're just
people don't really remember.
No, they want to know who you are.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
They don't really care what you're wearing.
At least I don't. I'm not going to speak for everyone because I know some people care.
Maybe the people. I don't know. Depending, I guess it depends on the industry or the field that you live in. But the people that care to you don't care.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say, like, the people that you want to attract, right?
Yes,
like, because you have
that's
to...
a good way to put it.
Yeah, like, you have
Very
to
valid.
know your market and attract the people that you want. And, like, I feel more comfortable with someone who's a bit more laid back.
Right.
Like, I'd prefer that.
Yeah.
But some people want more professional people, whatever that means, right? Like, with the fancy shoes and the...
Sure. And, I mean, and that's fine. And some people, like I said, some people enjoy that, and I feel like if I need to be someone I'm not, then I'm not really, what am I doing? I should just, I should probably just try to be myself a little more, and then I'm going to attract the people that I want to work with anyway, right? Like you said. So
yeah. So I'm listening to you talk about all these changes in your life, like the college, the flooring, the real estate, team switch, and you seem very level-headed about it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Has that been your process, or are you do you freak out about things? Do you get stressed? Or you're just like, oh, this isn't for me. I'm going to move over here.
No, I've never been that kind of guy that like has highs and lows. I'm usually pretty level-headed on the outside. Like there's times on the inside, but I've always been pretty good at talking myself down, or I just have a few quiet days here and there where I'm just kind of compressing and like decompressing, and I just need I need a little bit of time to go over things in my head, but I've never been like
just very calculated in your approach to things.
Kinda, yeah. My wife and I are a little bit impulsive sometimes when we do stuff, but it's maybe not so impulsive in the fact that we've been thinking about it in the back end for a while.
Sure.
And we kind of know what we're doing. And then people think, oh, they're making all these changes all of a sudden. But, well, maybe not. Maybe it's something that's been coming. It's just we haven't really been super vocal about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
interesting. Yeah. Like, I'm almost irritated by you in a loving way, but I'm just like... Where's the big, this isn't stressful for you. You made this really awesome.
It was stressful. It was stressful. But I think it was about having a system in place because the flooring business got to where it was. And then I had a gentleman who I trained for 5 years who purchased the business from us.
So you set yourself up.
That's why it took the extra 5 years, right? Because after the first 5 years, I wanted to make the switch, right? I really wanted to, but I was like, okay, you get into real estate, you're starting right at the bottom again.
Yeah.
You have no guaranteed anything, right? So it could take me a couple years to build it up. So I made sure that we had a system in place where he's buying the business, and I actually took a year where I was running the business and doing real estate at the same time. It was like an overlap, like 8 months or so.
Yep.
And that took a lot of the stress away.
Because then you felt supported
I didn't want to go into real estate feeling I had to chase a commission check, and I had to...
Oh, that makes it, takes the heart rate out of it, eh?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that's when I think you start to cross your moral boundaries a little bit. It's like, I need to feed my family. Should I take that one step in the wrong direction just to make sure I get that check? And I never wanted to be even tempted to do that. Not that I would have, but it was just like, I want to make sure that I'm doing things completely legit. I want to make sure that I'm doing the best for my clients, and I don't ever have to put myself in that spot where I'm stressed about having to make that extra dollar, right?
Yeah. Have you always been that way? Just like life is, you like, hey, I've got this thing, I got to solve it. Let's make it make sense, or is this a practice for you that you...
I guess so, yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm fairly humble, so I don't really like to...
I think that's why I get irritated with
I think so. I think I've always tried to be proactive and stuff. but again, I don't know where that started or where it came from.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, I mean, you've got a very supportive family life. Like, from what I've heard you say, it's like your family teamed up and you guys got fit together, and, you know, you're teaming up with now your little family that's making this work, and your father-in-law, you said, got you into real estate, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So he's
cool.
He's been in it for 30 something years.
Yeah.
And, so Julianne has a really amazing family too. So we have a great support
really
system.
Supported.
Absolutely. And I think just being self-employed for a long time, you have to be a little bit proactive in things that you do, right? Because you are 100% creating everything that you have. And instead of, you know, just going to work every day for a paycheck, you know, you have to actually look ahead a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I think another question we do like to occasionally, most of the time, touch on, because it is the FlowCast, is talking about flow. And so just as kind of a refresher recap, it's essentially the state of optimal human consciousness.
Right.
So it's where everything is running in the zone, you know, and everything is really functioning optimally for you. What sort of things resonate with you in that? What are the activities, things in your life where you get into that state?
Tabata.
Good question.
Yeah, Tabata.
Tabata, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just completely zoned out.
It's so zen. It's
Well, I mean, floating is something that I really did enjoy, and I have not done it enough, admittedly, because that's an amazing experience. What else do I do to get in the zone? That's a really good question.
Do you feel like when you, and sorry if you have an answer, you can keep going.
No.
When you're like presenting a home to someone, is that like you're in this state and things feel good, or?
It has track of time as kind of a typical sort of experience.
Yeah, it has become that way. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I first started out, it was like you're scrambling for words and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then, the longer I get into it, the more that I feel like I totally get into my zone when I'm talking to people, like presentations with listings and stuff. And then speaking in front of people too, right? Mm-hmm. That has become something that's really gotten more comfortable.
Yep.
Because, I think it's the number one fear of people is speaking in front of people, right? So one of my goals that I set was for the next conference that I go to for that Richard Robbins. Mm-hmm. In 2 to 3 years, I want to be one of those people on the stage speaking in front of the new people, right? So I think definitely presenting. That's a really good dig there, Chelsea.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That it is it's a great example actually, because there is that anxiety kind of at first makes it really challenging, but as you get better, it kind of like levels you more towards that flow curve of between boredom and anxiety. So that's a good one actually. Yeah.
What does, I'm curious, like, what's the process of presenting a home? Like, do you go in, scope it out, and like, what do you do? I don't know anything about real estate. How is the process?
The beauty of real estate is like every time you meet someone, it's a different experience altogether.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
But people, as far as like actually doing what we call a listing presentation, like going to someone's home to talk about their home, to help them list it.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard that you would go in and you want to learn about the people first. Like I'm always trying to figure out who they are and what their drivers are and their motivations are. And then there's the physical walk around of the home, and then sitting down with them and tying it all together, right? And like
it's really creative work then.
A little bit, yeah. You're always you're kind of working on the fly a little bit each time. But I think taking a holistic approach to the whole thing is what people seem to really appreciate. Like you're not just there to try to, this is how much your home's worth and blah, blah, blah. And then we're just going to sell it. It's more like, okay, what's important to you? Why are you selling? Do you need to sell right now? Where are you going? And just making sure that their best interests are at heart 100%. Because a lot of the times people want to sell and they don't know why. It's like, we just kind of want to move. And it's like, well, why? And then, and then, I've talked people out of selling their homes before because it's not right for them, right?
There's the life coach psychologist.
That's what I mean. He's going to be a coach one day. Mark my words.
Maybe one day.
Maybe you're already there.
I'm just enjoying this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. So as far as the process goes, it's different every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's part of what I really enjoy about this.
Yeah.
Is you get to make something new of every relationship.
That is cool.
Yeah. And we've made a lot of friends out of clients too, which is great. Like
Sweet.
Julianne and I just sold a house in Peterborough to a couple who, it's 10 minutes from our house, and I guarantee we're probably going to be getting together for barbecues and stuff or whatever. Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds like a fun little life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I find myself smiling a lot more these days.
That's nice. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe because I have to. But no, I'm joking.
Just to practice.
You always have a smile on your face every time I see you, so I don't know. I was
going to say, I've never seen you as a stressed out person personally. No. You're very, I can feel that level-headed groundedness from you, and it's comforting.
Awesome.
As someone who's a little bit flying off the wall sometimes.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to go over, right?
Sometimes we just put you on the spot and say, what's your biggest tip? Someone who, I'm going to just verbal diarrhea question out.
Yeah.
So we're talking a lot about efficiency.
Yep.
And kind of making sure that your life is balanced and in control. So if you could write a little pocket guide to that, what's your little tips there?
For being efficient?
Sure. And making life feel flowy.
Yeah. Well, I could use the word balance because that's important. Mm-hmm. But I think just not realize that you don't have to do everything right now. Sometimes there's things that feel really important, but maybe you're overlooking something else that should be happening in your life. I used to be really reactive, and especially when I first started in real estate, someone calls me and I gotta go answer it, but my daughter's right there trying to show me a picture she just drew. Just sometimes you gotta just put stuff aside and realize that what's in front of you is more important.
Yeah.
And that's been
I like that.
That's been huge for me.
That's something Jordan Peterson says. I don't always love him, but pet the cat.
Oh, right.
You heard that one?
Yep.
Where it's just take that minute to pet the cat. You don't have to run around all the time. Just enjoy that moment.
Absolutely. Take
that.
joy in some of the smaller things.
Yeah. Totally.
And then I've always known you to be somebody that recommends a lot of books too, or is reading a lot. So what any book recommendations recently? What have you been enjoying reading? Or
I just picked up Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yes.
Haven't started it yet, but I'm so excited about it that I'm already recommending it because I've heard so many. I know, right? It's so
I love that.
But because I've heard so many good things about it, and again, it ties into the discipline thing and stuff like that.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that.
What's it? Is it just self-help in general, or what's the?
No, I wouldn't say that because David Goggins is not a typical self-help kind of person.
No, he has a different approach.
So it's essentially his life story. It's sort of a memoir. Cool. He has a very fascinating story. There's a Joe Rogan podcast. There's a couple
too, right? Jesse Itzler wrote a book with him.
Right, Living with a Seal. That's
I read that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah. And you didn't know that it was David Goggins at the time because he was still sort of in the shadows before he came out and started talking about his life story. So that was a really interesting one too. But Can't Hurt Me is amazing. There's a little more detail. I find that 90% of it is in his interviews with Joe Rogan and in the podcast. So you can get a good feel for him. Cool. If you want to, I like text, so it worked for me to read his book versus just listen to the podcast.
Sure.
And there is some really good discipline practices and stuff at the end of each chapter. So if you're into that kind of summary stuff in books, it's really good too.
Right.
But yes, excellent recommendation.
Awesome. There you go.
I know. I know you're gonna really dig it.
Yeah, and I should maybe recommend a book that I read more recently, but that's the one that came to mind because I've been super excited to get it, and I think it's going to be a good book. So I'll report back to you with my
awesome.
So we always ask at the end, where can we find you? If someone wants to contact you, where do they go?
Well, they can call me because I like the phone.
Cool.
705-768-4529, or I'm on social media all over the place, Facebook, Instagram. Just type in Team Reynolds or Jason Reynolds, whatever you want. Cool. Our website is reynoldsrealestate.ca. Cool. So out of those, you can probably find me.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
it's been awesome. Thanks for having me.